It's better inside than it looks from the outside, because when you look at it from here, you think, oh, that's all you got. But it's actually more than it looks. This one has the alloy wheels. It's not a base model. It's the all-wheel drive. Finished off in hyper blue. Very nice, very nice. I like it. It drove down the road fine. As you can see by my laundry being back here, it's actually not terrible in terms of space, and it has this little cardboard cover for the cargo area. It allows it to hold stuff without being too visible. And like most of the current Chevys, it follows a design idiom. Steering wheel, of course, being the most obvious. It looks just like all the others. You have your cruise control on this side, voice controls on this side. Here you have a 7-inch touchscreen. It's off because the key is out. Plenty of storage areas. You have this little cubby here, the glove box down here, and a sunglass holder place up there. So it's very common. I know I said earlier that the LCD screens were a little bit bollocksed, but I do like the design of the dashboard itself. I don't know why I like that little gauge and then the speedo being there. Personal preference, I guess. Light switch. So I have the front seat in my standard seating position, and I'm sitting behind myself. Would I be comfortable here? No. I'd probably be fine behind the passenger side, but as you can see, I'm a bit tight up against the seat here. That side has more room, so potentially a passenger could scoot up just a little bit, and then I could sit behind them relatively all right. Headroom is fine, and there's no problem really back there, but I would become quite uncomfortable on a long drive back here. So there is that. So the manufacturers have discovered that they can give you a much better front seating position, more room, more stretching out space if they cut into the back seat room. That's not to say that it's as small inside as a Sonic or a Spark, because it is a much bigger vehicle than either of those two, but it's nowhere near the interior space of, say, the Equinox or even an Escape, because this is sub-Escape size, at least in the back. In the front, it's almost as long in terms of passenger compartment, but it's not as wide. The Escape has a wider interior. It doesn't bounce too bad over all the little joints and expansions. There's not very many on this particular road. It's been redone so many times, but it's a little bit darty, and I don't mean Dodge darty. It's a little bit, you know, you aim it just a little bit and it goes. I like that in a sports car. In a small SUV that's probably going to be driven by a newer driver or a younger driver with less experience, might need to dial in a little more dead spot in the steering. I would prefer just a slightly deader feeling. Not much, but just enough to instill a little bit of confidence that every little kind of input you make isn't going to drive the vehicle off the road. So yeah, as you can see, I'm doing exactly the speed limit, internet Nazis, and so you can't yell at me. Other than that, headroom is fine. Again, it's a brand new car, literally brand new car. It's got demo mileage. They probably do it the same way we do it at our dealership. They should tell you exactly how they were used, though. They should be informing you that it was a service loaner and not a demonstrator, but that's dealership to dealership etiquette. The way you can tell an LCD display versus an LED display, number one, LCD tends to be one color, monochromatic, if you will. Number two, you can see how it looks like there's shadowing on the numbers and you don't actually see all the backlighting. That's not an effect of this camera phone. It is actually because there's a piece of glass above the LCD, and that is casting a shadow into the third layer, which is where the black is projected. I know it's really weird, but it is what's causing it to look like it has a shadow inside the numbers. As you can also see, it is backlit, not side or front lit like LED, which is light emitting diode, doesn't require. A light emitting diode, such as in current screens, your phone that you're probably watching this on, or your computer, they don't require that same lighting setup are, by very definition, light emitting diodes, so they don't require an additional lighting source to be visible. So it's not a big deal, but as you can also see, or you might not be able to see because this camera is filming in too high of a def, is that it is actually a little blurry from my perspective. And that's because you have the shadowing along with the bright light coming down on it and washing out some of the color. It's not a detriment. It's not going to make the car undrivable, but it is noticeable. And I guess on a lower end SUV, it's fine.